y'all, and welcome to a brand new video. So this week I will be testing out the Hemi Gouache that was like all the rage last year. Well, I got some for Christmas and I really wanted to try it out for you guys. So that's what this video is. I hope you guys enjoy. So the very first thing that I ended up doing was I took out all of the gouache. I had seen previous videos showing that you have to peel them and that they come in a really random color order. So I had to organize them based on my liking of how I wanted the colors to go in my little set. I have never worked with gouache beforehand, but I knew that it was kind of like if acrylic and watercolor paints had a baby. I know that's probably like a really weird way of describing them, but that's basically what they are. They have the opacity of acrylics, but they are water-based. So if they dry up, you can wet them with water and they reactivate. You can also mix in water with these paints and use them like watercolors. I did not do that for this painting. I went in bone dry basically. Not to say my brush wasn't wet, my brushes were wet, but I just basically used this gouache as if it was acrylic, which is what I have the most experience with. I really wanted to dive in quickly, so I literally only used a toothpick and mixed in this burnt orange red because I thought it was the perfect color for the clay pot because, well, I decided that I wanted to paint a potted plant. I drew this out before I even started filming because I knew I wanted something that was a little outside of my comfort zone while still in my comfort zone and was something that could be aesthetically pleasing to you guys. So I chose a potted plant. Now, I had zero reference photos for this. I don't even know if this plant is a real plant. I just basically drew stems and drew what looked kind of like leaves. I don't know if it's real. I don't really care. It's what I wanted. So now I am using two different types of brushes in this video. I used a brush set that I got for $5 from Ross, which I've done a video on their art supplies before. Don't get paint from Ross, but you can find really good brushes there. All of the brushes that I get for the most part are from Ross, and they're usually no more than $5. And they usually come in a huge pack with multiple different sizes, and they're usually relatively good and easy to use and all that jazz. This black paintbrush set that I'm using is detail brushes that I got off of Amazon because I knew I wanted some more finer brushes so that I could get into smaller places because I usually use a medium-sized brush for the most part for most of my work, and I knew there were some smaller things that I wanted to try out, and I knew I needed a smaller brush to do those things. Throughout the video, you'll also see me consistently turning my painting, and that is because while I am painting, I like to turn my canvas or whatever I'm working on so I can get a better angle and get into all the crevices without straining to see or moving my hand in an awkward position. If I'm not comfortable doing the painting, then I'm not going to end up doing the painting. And one thing that makes it more comfortable for me to do it is to, well, spin it around while I'm doing it. So is it aesthetically pleasing to watch me constantly spin around a painting? No. But does it make the process smoother and easier for me? Yes. So about the paint, I do think that this paint was very pigmented. I loved how pigmented it was. I loved how smooth it was to put on the paper. The paint was really easy to mix together. I did eventually mix them with toothpicks that you saw. I think the only downside I will say is that the greens are a little streaky. That may just be user error on my part, but I did have to do a second coat on the leaves, which I wasn't really expecting, but you know, it is what it is. I wanted to do this painting in a kind of semi-realistic, so I wanted to try out doing shadows on the pot, and it took me a while to get the right shade, but once I found it, it was great. I loved it. I didn't do shadows anywhere else, so just on the pot. And then I started really working on the leaves. And my set had 3 different shades of green. I could have mixed in other shades as well, but I really just wanted to use what I had. I did do some mixing for the shadow on the pot, and I did do some mixing for the background that you'll see in a minute, but for the leaves themselves, I just used the greens that I had. I used 1 shade for all of the stems, and then I used the 2 other shades for the leaves. And I tried to make it seem random. Like, I wasn't actively trying to make a pattern or choose where colors went. I just wanted it to be random because plants are random. No 2 plants are going to look exactly alike, and I wanted that to show on this as well. And also, I gotta say, I am so sorry that this video is coming out late. Some things have popped up with school. We're in that time of the semester, and I had a quiz on Monday for my programming class, and I was not ready. So I spent literally all weekend rewatching old lectures because my professor records them and studying. Like, that's all I did this past weekend. So I didn't have time to edit this. So I had filmed this a little bit earlier, and yeah, it's that time of the school year, so while I'm trying my absolute best to post every single Monday, there's going to be times where that doesn't happen. And this week was one of those times. And I think last week was also one of those times. But I'm hoping that next week I'm able to post on time. It is a gaming video, so it shouldn't take me too long to edit. Gaming videos usually don't take me too long to edit because, like, I'm very streamlined when I'm filming them. Art is a different process because it takes me so long to film each one. Not because I take forever doing my art, but because I film with my phone. So I have to transfer the footage from my phone to my Google Drive, delete the footage from my phone so that I have enough storage space. Now, here is the spot where I decided that I wanted a colored background. I did not want a white background. So I mixed together a blue that I was seeing in my head and just kind of painted around the plant. At one point, I grabbed some random piece of whatever and used that to try and block off the edge a little bit to mitigate any bleeding to the next page, which I used mixed media paper, so it was pretty thick, and I didn't have any bleeding through, which I was really surprised about and also really happy about. But you know, when you do those edges, paint will get on the other pages behind it pretty easily. Well, that's what I was trying to keep from happening for the most part. I didn't really care all that much because, like, I mainly do painting. I don't do colored pencils. I don't even think I own colored pencils. So, like, it doesn't really bother me much because it's just going to be covered up with paint anyways. I tried to be very careful when I started to go around the plant itself. There are a lot of smaller spots in this that made me think while I was working on this painting that maybe I should have done the background before I did the plant itself, but also I'll tell the story time in the future in more detail, but I once had a teacher yell at me about painting the main subject before the background. So every single time I paint the subject before the background, I feel like it's a big FU to that teacher. So it feels like a win, but also it's kind of annoying sometimes because, like, yeah, I probably should have done the background in some parts beforehand, but also FU to that teacher. Like, let kids do art their own way. That's all I'm going to say on that for now. I will go into more depth in the future about this teacher and that moment and why it scarred me for so long. Now here I decided that I didn't want the potted plant to just be floating in a blue background, so I decided to give it a placemat. At least that's what I'm calling it. It is a lopsided oval because I did not think about it beforehand. I did not think it through, just like the watercolor leaf that I did last week. However, I will say this oval circle thing placemat turned out a lot better than that leaf did. I like how it ended up. You may not, and that's okay. That's fair. This is my art though, and I'm learning new things. I'm trying to do baby steps with my art. I'm trying to learn little by little and just really focus on having fun and showing other people that you can have fun with art too, no matter your age. Here is the final product after a second coat of paint on the leaves. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next week. Bye, y'all.